Happy Sunday, everybody. It's another day, another dollar, and more going on in the housing market. We're going to be talking about builders today and what they're doing as far as getting everybody on track to buy their homes again. I put a poll question out there on YouTube asking you if you what you think would make you buy. You know, what's going on with the home builders? I also want to point out that interest rates are dropping, and some of the experts out there are saying that it's going to be real estate mayhem again. I want to get your opinion about that because I don't know if it's going to be so much mayhem. I also want to let you know that I feel like hot garbage. So if my tone feels a little low, it's because Kristina, feel good. I totally put on this face and did march my little butt out here, but I've been in bed all day just to make this happen. So I'm sorry if I'm not as Kristina-fied like I normally am. I want to say hello to the people in the chat. Hello, Lawnmower. Hello, Cat T. Hello, King in the City the First. Hello, Kenneth Anderson. Good to see you. What does the 1685 mean on the back of your name? Peter, hello. There's no new construction in my market. Hello, Outdoor Academy. Outdoor Academy. Hello. Hello. So, we're going to be talking about that. And, before we get into the article, I just want to bring this up. So they're talking about, and I've pointed this out before, every single time the interest rates go down just a scotch, the headlines read affordability is back. Home affordability is back. Not even putting in perspective that the median price home in the United States is over $400,000. And it has been sticky there for quite some time. So let me just say this. Even if the interest rates for many Americans were to go into the 3s or 4s again, a good portion of them could not afford it because the home prices are so incredibly high. On another note, I don't think this feels like the same kind of situation as we had back during the pandemic. I think people are much more price conscious right now. A lot of people feel very uneasy about the job market, and rightfully so. We haven't got the new job numbers out just yet. And I don't think it's going to be a hot real estate market again because interest rates have come down. Now, refinances have gone up. You know, people are filing for refinances. That doesn't mean they're actually going to do it. So that was interesting to me. But I want to get your opinion before we get in the articles about the home builders. Do you feel like if the interest rates were to get into the 5s, that we're going to see a boom in the real estate market again? Because some of these experts, I think, are kind of out of touch. Maybe in different markets feels differently. I don't know. Of course, like in the Northeast, it would still be booming, because it's never fallen off the ladder. I mean, people are buying houses up there like crazy, but I don't think it's going to have the big push in areas like Austin, Texas, and even here in Baton Rouge in New Orleans. I don't think it's going to be a big spending spree in Florida. I mean, I could be wrong, but I just don't see interest rates being enough because home prices are so incredibly high. Outdoor Academy says no. Yeah. Lots of 3-story condo or apartment complexes here in Northwest Arkansas. I saw an interesting article about Northwest Arkansas recently, and it was like the number 6 place that people are moving to. Like it's become that popular, along with Idaho, North Carolina, South Carolina. Where else was there? Tennessee. And then, I can't remember the other ones, but I was surprised that Arkansas has become so incredibly popular because the affordability and, it's actually quite beautiful. If you guys never been to Arkansas, Eddie and I drove through there and I'm like, you know what? I could live here. This is beautiful. It's so nice. Lawnmower says, so if I go out for Halloween as myself before coffee, is that too scary? Ugh. I know I wouldn't want to be around me before I've had my cup of tea. That's for sure. Charlton says, question. I see the 30-year fixed rate mortgage rate on the internet is a come on bait and switch. Ask Kyle, please. So there are different loan programs according to your your credit scores, right? So, mortgage interest rates may say one thing, on the internet. And then when they run your like debt to income and what other things you could qualify for, those rates could be different. But yes, there's a lot of like, we have 5.99 interest rate. And then you get in there and they're like, well, that was earlier when we printed it, but now the interest rates have changed. And Charlton, you know this, but I'm going to tell this to everybody else. Mortgage interest rates change as the day goes on. So what you qualified in the morning could be totally different than you would in the afternoon. That's why sometimes they'll tell you to hurry up and lock in before the interest rates change. Some people try to hold off as long as possible because they think that the interest rates might even go down a little bit before they lock in their rate. But, they're flexible. They're flexible. Yep. Peter says expectations for lower rates are keeping people from buying. Why not buy now if you think you will get a better deal the next year? People won't. Okay, so back like 2-3 years ago, a lot of mortgage and real estate agents were going around saying, date the rate, marry the house, buy a house now, and you can refinance in a couple of years. Well, a couple of years has gone by, and several people are really ticked off because not only did their mortgage payment go up because of insurance and taxes, the interest rates aren't low enough for them to refinance. It's not even feasible for them right now. So seeing mortgage interest rates come down for some people would be a good thing. I will always stand by this. If you're not ready or prepared to buy a house, and the only thing that is keeping you from doing it is because of an interest rate, then maybe you should rethink buying a house. Like there's people that get in way over their heads, or they have that FOMO, like they feel like they have to do it. And I would never want anybody to be house poor, meaning that they could afford the house, but nothing else for the house. I saw that a lot back in my day in 2006. There were so many people that were buying more house than they needed because they were looking at it as an investment. I don't think that's been the case though, ever since I didn't see that a lot during the last housing boom, people overbuying a house for their needs. I didn't see that as much. Maybe in other areas, but I didn't see that here. Lawnmower said, I had several people that moved to Arkansas that really liked it. None of the politics of Texas, lower home prices, and a fraction of the property tax. It's beautiful out there too. I mean, like, some people argue with me. The Ozarks start in Arkansas. it happens, they are there. The Ozarks are there, and it's absolutely stunning. It's not flat like Louisiana and Texas. So you see you see mountains and and you see hills and lots of forestry. It's very green. And some areas have a very small town feel to them, but you still can go to a local Starbucks. I mean, I don't live in Arkansas. I'm not a real estate agent in Arkansas. I'm just saying, it's really nice. It is very nice. So, Beastman 997 says prices are too high still to justify potential temporary rates. That's where I think a lot of people are, Beastman. I would say the same thing. A lot of people are looking at it, even if, because I talked to some people, even if the interest rates were to get to 2.5%, with the income that they have, which is the median income in the United States, it wouldn't cover the median cost of a house. And in their area, the only house that they could afford, even at a 2.5% interest rate, would be something that's barely holding on, And then real estate agents, I've heard some real estate agents say, well, they're being too picky. This is what they qualify for. They should just accept that. And I'm like, I mean, I don't know. When I bought my first house, I didn't know anything about anything. And it was a fixer-upper by like a lot. We didn't know how to do anything, but we figured it out through YouTube. There's no doubt about it. But I mean, it wasn't that much of a fixer-upper. Some of these are like foundation issues and all this other stuff that, that's more than a lot of people can take on. And is it really worth taking that on? There's just not as many options out there for people. And, working regular jobs to have a regular house. I don't think most people are not asking for a whole hell of a lot. They would love just a basic 2 to 3 bedroom house, maybe 1 to 2 bathrooms and a little yard. They would be totally satisfied with that. But there's not even available in their area because they've been building McMansions for the last 20 years. And then, whenever builders want to do something like that, the spreads don't work out that way. Like when they pull out the spreadsheets and do the numbers, it isn't financially beneficial to them in order to do it. So as much as like we hate home builders, we, like, oh, they build crappy houses, blah, blah, blah. They have to make a living, they do have to make a living. And I understand where they're coming from. That's why I always say that local governments need to come up with ways to incentivize home builders to build smaller, more affordable homes. So they are profitable enough to them to do it. We're just not there yet. Outdoor Academy says, I bought my first house in 1987. Life is so much simpler. We bought our first house in 2003, our very first home. Is that correct, Eddie? It was 2002 or 3? 2002. It was 2002. And life did seem a lot simpler then, in my opinion. All right. Stacy says, we looked at a house on the market for $309,000. We offered $235,000. They accepted. Oh, they accepted. Good for you. That's fantastic. You know what though? I'm going to put this out here, and I've been saying this, but I think it needs to be said again. Whenever you're looking at houses right now, you never know what the situation of the sellers is. And it doesn't hurt to put in an offer that you feel like the house is worth. The worst that can happen when doing something like that, and so people will say, oh, I don't want to offend the sellers. It's not about that. This is business and numbers, right? And if they're interested to get rid of that house as soon as possible, and they may have even priced their house, overpriced it to test the market, and you gave them a price that they wanted, they got what they wanted, which was that price. They didn't, they were hoping for 309, but they didn't get it. So you came in with an offer and they were willing to accept it. It doesn't hurt to test what the sellers are going to do. The sellers are testing the market with their home prices, and you're coming in with an offer. So you're showing them what the market is dictating as far as price. So, I mean, go for it. I say go for it. The worst that you can do is hurt somebody's feelings. That's a seller. Boo-hoo. It's just numbers at this point, So Lita says, my brother lived in Eureka Springs. She's saying this to Lawnmower after living most of his adult life in and around Dallas County, and he thought it was beautiful up there. He didn't know anyone. He just moved for the beauty. Wow. Dallas to me is not beautiful. They have good food. I will say that Dallas has some of the best food I've ever had in the country. Oh, Clark, the realtor, is in the house. Welcome, Clark. You going to do a live stream today, friend? I want to know. Hello from Oklahoma. Whenever this song comes to my head, I know it's California, here I come. Now I was thinking, Oklahoma, here we come. Is there a state you can't do it with? Utah, probably. Utah, nope, doesn't work. Utah doesn't work. Charlton says name for none. Question for none. VA, FHA, USDA. Do all states require pre-closure residential inspections? In Pennsylvania since 2000, we do. FHA requires an inspection. I believe VA does as well. But if you're doing conventional, it does not require that inspection. VCG Construction, this is so super chat. Thank you. Your holiday finds. If anybody doesn't know, this is my friend Vince over at VCG Construction. He has a channel that he reviews tools and shows different ways to get things done around your house. We have been friends on YouTube forever and ever. I'm going to reach out to you soon, my friend. It's good to see you, Vince. All right. So you can do residential inspections if it's required, but USDA only does, I believe, for mobile homes or manufactured housing, because they have requirements as far as the skirting on the bottom and a few other requirements. But that's not like a true like home inspection. There's just things that need to be on the house. So they're checking to make sure that those things are in line with getting financed. That's not like a true inspection. I would still get another inspection on top of it. Like Eddie and I, our first home, we had a FHA, not VHA. I don't know why I'm saying that. FHA mortgage. And they did the FHA mortgage inspection, and they required these like ridiculous little lips on the thing. It was dumb. But I mean, they got it done. But we also had like a home inspector on top of it that found a bunch of other stuff within the house that needed to be addressed. That wasn't the same thing. So if you're getting that kind of loan and they say that inspection, don't think that you don't need to have an outside inspection on top of it. Gilda says, I love to sell my 6-bedroom, 4-bathroom house in California and downsize. I don't know where you live in California, but I know the prices are good there. And you pretty much can buy anything anywhere when you live outside of California. The prices there are so high. Lots of people in California have moved to Texas. It's growing. Idaho is another area that a lot of Californians have moved to. Austin, I think, is the most popular city in Texas, by the way, for former Californians. But anyways, let's get into the article about home builders. Oh, my camera fell. Sorry. All right, hold on. All right, there we go. Clark the Realtor says, yes, I'm trying to figure out how to use OBS, so we will see. I used to use OBS back in my day. I used to use OBS, but now I use StreamYard. All right. More than 1/3 of builders continue to cut prices. So some of the bigger ones, as affordability pressures persist, builders ramp up incentives to attract more buyers this fall. So let's incentives, anything but drop the price, right? But they said they're dropping the price. All right. Home builders are rolling back prices to bring more buyers at the closing table this fall. 38% of home builders reported cutting home prices in October, with an average price reduction of 6%, according to the latest National Association of Home Builders Wells Fargo Housing Market Index. I was like chewing on that word. The cuts are narrowing the gap between new and existing homes. The median new home price is around $413,500. I mean, we're just a whisper away from $500,000 compared to $422,600 for existing home sales in August. Economists call this the unprecedented price shift. Can we not live in unprecedented times anymore? As new homes have historically sold for much more. I guess this is a good unprecedented thing. While existing home prices continue to edge higher for each month, albeit lately at a slower pace, more builders are turning the price reductions as a smaller floor plans to reach buyers who feel priced out. So they're finally building smaller. Yep. What's more, 65% of builders say that they turned additional incentives this month, such as mortgage rate buy downs and upgrade packages, to the survey shows. And I've seen that here. Like they'll offer new homes here do not come with refrigerators, and that's not part of the home sale here in Louisiana. And to incentivize people, they'll say, we'll give you the washer, the dryer, and the refrigerator as an incentive of you buying the house. And they are doing the buy downs or closing costs if you use their title and mortgage company. So builders are hopeful for stronger sales as mortgage rates have recently declined. A sentiment echoed in the existing housing market. Still, while recent declines for mortgage rates are encouraging sign for affordability conditions, the market remains challenging. Most home buyers are still on the sidelines waiting for mortgage rates to move even lower. What would your mortgage rate need to be for you to buy a brand new home? I want to know. What would be the magic number for you? Freddie Mac reported that the 30-year fixed rate mortgage fell an average of 6.27% this week, a notable drop considering the rates averaging around 7% at the start of 2025. Homeowners have noticed that these consistent lower rates driving an uptick in refinance activity. Told you that. Combined with increasing housing inventory and slower house price growth, these rates are creating more of a favorable environment for those looking to buy a home. It could pay off this fall, according to Realtor.com, pinpointed mid-October as offering more favorable conditions for home buyers for the year. a more mix of more listings, lower prices, and less competition. The National Association of Realtors latest pending home sales index, a forward-looking indicator based on contract signings, showed late summer momentum with signings up 4% in August. A hopeful sign that could translate to a stronger home sales conditions this fall. I don't know. I mean, I think that people feel funky right now. I think there's so much uncertainty. Like I hear so many people like, "Oh man, food costs way too much." And then they're getting their they're getting their bills on their insurance. People's medical insurance is going up. Their homeowners insurance is going up because prices in their area went up so high. Their taxes, like property taxes, have gone up. Everything seems so much more expensive. So maybe I'm wrong, but I'm like the sentiment of the overall community. If not home prices, but if interest rates were to go down, I don't know if it's going to get a lot of people off the fence. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, like I want to know what your opinion is. And then on top of it all, like there's so many videos out there, and I know you guys have seen them, of what new home builders, the big track builders, have been building, and the quality of those builds recently, they're kind of sketch. Not gonna lie, they're really sketch. Sorry, I'm looking over here because I have my dog in here, and I don't know what she's doing, but she smells something. What are you doing, Daisy? She's going to hide over here. MH0862 says, no interest in new house. Too many entanglements. What do you mean too many entanglements? Oh, so Trap says if he would get a house if it was at 5%. 5% is a good number for him or her or them. Desiree says it's not the mortgage rate for me. I'm a cash buyer, more the taxes and insurance, especially if you're in like places like Texas. I mean, I'm sorry, especially if you're in the Gulf Coast of like Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, all the way through Florida. I mean, it's ridiculous how much our homeowners insurance has gone up. Ours tripled in 5 years. Homeowners insurance tripled. And we're like inland, we're not on the coast. So we're in Baton Rouge. We don't get like, of course, if a category 5 like was to hit us, we would get some winds and stuff like that. But we're not like seeing the brunt of damage. So I don't know. Insurance feels like a scam recently. It really does. You can't live without it, but boy, oh boy, does it feel like you're getting the rug pulled out from under you. Gusto PFV 4470 says, I would definitely buy a 3-2 for between 6.8 and 7.4 after prices here in Tampa fall. Another 30%, a realistic piece. You know what? I know that Tampa has been seeing home prices drop considerably. I don't know when the last time you looked, but they had a huge spike, and then they are getting a readjustment in prices. I've noticed that when I'm looking over articles and stuff, when I'm looking throughout the week, Tampa has seen a reduction in home prices. So, like maybe it's something to consider because interest rates are coming down. If they were to drop in the 5s, would you actually consider buying in Tampa? I want to know. All right. Outdoor Academy says, food might go way up if food stamps stop in November. That's a lot of uncirculating money. I don't know if we're going to see, I think about this a lot because I've been laying in bed. I feel like garbage today. And I was watching a lot of YouTube, and they were talking about the repercussions of people not getting their food stamp money. And apparently it's like, I think it's like 100. I'm not going to quote a number because I'm going to get in trouble, but there's a good portion of the United States that's on some kind of food assistance. And if you guys don't know, 100 years ago, my husband and I moved to Louisiana. And when we moved here, he was let go from his job during the 2008 financial crisis. And we were in dire straits and we had very little kids. For a short period of time, we needed government assistance. And thank God that we were able to get WIC. We were able to get milk and cheese and all these things that we needed for our kids. It helped us get us through. We also did something called Angel Food Ministries. I don't know if that still exists, but churches would have like a grocery store set up on a Saturday afternoon where you could get fruits and vegetables and all these things for a very discounted price. It was kind of like distorted looking food, like the carrots were kind of bent funny or whatever. Who cares? It tasted good. It was fine. And it was a reduced price. Even meat. We were able to even get meat. I think these programs exist because people need them. And not everybody that's sucking off of society is on these programs. I mean, like, I know that's the thing. Everybody's like, oh, well, they can afford to get their nails done, but they can't get a food. I mean, like, when I hear that, I'm like, you are looking at it a very small way. There's so many people that are elderly, that are children. This is what they depend on as far as food and housing as well. It's all connected. And I hope I'm hoping at the 11th hour on they'll get this thing all straightened out and everybody will get their money so they can eat in November. I mean, the holidays are right around the corner. If you and this is entirely up to you, instead of like donating food to your local food bank company area, you can always volunteer your time, or you can donate some money. That's what they need most, because they can buy things at the food bank for a much discounted price than we're buying it. So I know a lot of people want to like clean out their pantries and be like, okay, I'm going to donate this, which is totally fine. But you can really help them by donating money because they can get so much more food. So it's like, let me just put it this way. $100 of food to you, it costs them like $30 for food to feed several people. So, just think about that way. Anyways.
Don't quote her on that pricing.
Huh?
I said, don't quote you on that pricing. The 100 to 30.
Okay. I can barely hear you. Somebody turned down my speaker. Let me turn this up. All right. All right. Now, what did you say?
I said, don't quote her on that. The pricing.
Oh, okay.
$100 to $30. So he's gonna go to a food bank and say, she said it would be like $30.
Well, no, what I'm saying is they buy groceries. They can buy groceries from institutions for a lower price because they are a food pantry. So if we were to buy $100 of groceries, it would be like almost like them buying $300 worth of groceries because they get a discounted price. That's all I was saying.
I understand, but that's what I'm saying. Don't anybody take her quote of numbers, because they could be different. It could be 10% or 15%, not 50.
Yeah. Okay. Eddie's looking out for me. He doesn't want to get me in trouble. Thank you, Eddie. All right. Peter says the only thing I'm hearing is crickets. Nothing is happening. The market is frozen. Are you talking about the housing market? It depends on the area. Like if you live in like New Jersey or Massachusetts or Rhode Island or anywhere in the Northeast, even in New York, like the luxury market in New York is kicking like a Japanese chicken. I mean, it is crazy, right? It is. They're still selling houses like hotcakes. Here in the South, we were, I would say we're stagnant. I wouldn't say we're, like anywhere near a crash. We're not seeing record numbers of price reductions. Some areas are. There's even like Boise, Idaho had a price reduction. Was it Austin, Texas had a price reduction, but they were overpriced to begin with. I mean, they went so incredibly high. It was stupid. So now it's, correcting, I would say, unless it goes back to numbers prior to the pandemic. That, to me, that's not a crash. If you're looking at like a 15 or 10% reduction in price, that's not a crash. That's a correction. It could correct a lot more, though. Let's say for a lot of people, it could correct a lot more. All righty. The new builds around us are not well made. I will say I've seen my fair share of crummy home builds. And what I see on the internet with a lot of home inspectors, it makes me gasp. My flappers are gasted when I watch some of this stuff. And even Eddie will see it because 100 years ago, he was a roofer. And he'll look at some of the roofs on brand new builds and he's like, where are the ventilation caps? There's already tears in those shingles. Like he's like, I don't know. Those don't even look like they were put on right. It's frightening. And to find talented crews to do the job to build the houses is more and more difficult than it's ever been. Home builders don't want to pay, what they're demanding as far as prices. They get cheap labor, and then they get cheap jobs done, and then sure enough, you're in trouble. Some of the biggest names in home building have got themselves in huge trouble for foundations cracking, insulation falling out, pipes leaking because they weren't sealed correctly. And these people have gone through the ringer trying to get them, repaired. There's a article out there. I think it's a blog post that's like New Home Nightmares. It came out about 4 months ago, and it was talking about all these people's personal stories with some of the biggest names in home building and what they've had to go through to make them do the right thing. I mean, they bought the house, fix it. But a lot of times with big builders, they drag out that 1 year bumper to bumper warranty as far as they can. So then after that year, they're like, well, it's been after a year. Sorry. Too bad. So sad. So sad. And then people have to go through the whole lawsuit thing when they should have just fixed it in the first place. What's this? Oh, that's on Reddit. Yeah. New build nightmare. Yeah. There was a guy who's all the front facade of his whole entire house. It was the doctor. I'll just leave it at that builder. The whole front facade would just fell off, and it was like pulling teeth. So then he started doing this whole series on how to get this house fixed. And sure enough, once he started making a big stake, then it started getting fixed. The builder attempted to offer me $2,000 at closing so that I can fix any issues or find or dislike on my own. Of course, I denied it. Yeah, you shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't be doing that. I've seen even in our area, we have some new home builders, and there is a problem with mold, and people were getting sick. And like they're pulling back, sheetrock, and behind the sheetrock, there's all this mold. Why is this a problem? That's why I'm like a big fan of modular home construction, because here in Louisiana we rain like crazy, right? So you have a slab poured, then you're getting the framing put up, and then not too long later they're just putting up drywall. Has that slab aired out enough before you're putting up that drywall? I mean, are they waiting enough time to have it dry out? Is the board still wet before you're putting the drywall up? I mean, there's not the care and craftsmanship that there is in like more like custom built homes when you're dealing with tract builders. So you have to like keep your like nose in their face all the time to make sure they're building the house correctly. And a lot of us are experienced on what's the right thing and wrong thing when it comes to home builds. And yeah. Eddie wants me to read this. Is Daisy the corgi mix? No, Daisy's not the corgi mix. Rosie is the corgi mix. Daisy is a lab English bulldog mix. She smells like death. She's a stinky, stinky dog. Lovely, sweet, but stinks. All right, Rhonda says home prices must go down. And I agree. And I not only should home prices go down, I think that home builders need to go back and start making those, those ramblers, those ranch style houses. I think that's the thing. I think that's part of it. Now, I do know that several builders have, and I want to get your opinion about this. Several home builders now, instead of doing smaller houses, they're saying, okay, families can't afford a house. We're going to do a house that is multi-generational, a multi-generational house, meaning that like the downstairs is one apartment, and then, or the basement is an ADU apartment, and then the rest of the house is for the larger part of the family. Or they take part of the garage, like the upstairs of the garage, and they turn that into an apartment. I've even seen some home builders that already do the ADUs, the accessory dwelling units. That's basically a little house behind the house. So that way you could have several families. So you could have the apartment down in the basement, you can have an apartment in the garage, and then you could have the accessory dwelling unit in the backyard. So you could have technically 4 families in one home. Would you be okay with that? I want to know. Eddie and I are like right now looking at housing for my aging parents. And what we decided to do for us is there's two options, and it's what we can find when we decide that we actually need to purchase. And we're going to be purchasing either two houses, one right next to each other, or at least on the same street, because I want to be within walking distance of my parents' house, or we're going to buy a duplex. The only problem with a duplex is that a lot of them are 2-story, and my mom cannot walk upstairs. So we'll see what's going to happen, but that's what we're facing right now. And I don't know, a lot of families are facing that. They have children that are in their early 20s or just getting out of high school, and they need housing and they want to live on their own, but can't afford it. And they have aging parents at the same time. So maybe a house that does have an apartment in the garage and an apartment downstairs would be beneficial to them. So I want to know. I want to know what you think.
One builder just recently said he wasn't to combat the housing home pricing. They weren't going to make homes any cheaper. They were going to, and I wanted to hear what you thought of this. They were going to make it more energy efficient so that it would cut down cost on utilities, not so much the house.
Well, the energy efficiency regulations have been removed. So in order to be like considered a greenhouse, that was required by builders to do like certain kinds of, insulation or windows and stuff like that. It doesn't, those requirements aren't there anymore. So I would want to know what they consider green in order to make that happen. And are they doing something like, are they doing like geothermal are they doing geothermal? Like that would be, that would work, right? Are they doing some kind of,
you're talking about a builder putting $20 million in for geothermal.
Yeah. What I'm saying is like, if you're not going to drop the price, what are you doing for me? It's going to be beneficial to me. What are you doing? Is it going to be enough?
What he was saying is he's going to make it more energy efficient in the sense of the type of doors he's going to put in, the windows he's going to put in, the insulation. He wasn't going to make the homes cheaper.
I don't know. I don't know if that would be enough for some people. Like some people are looking just to have a house, and they'll add those things later on when they can afford it. They would rather have shelter than anything else, something that affordable they can work on over the years. I don't know. We'll see. Way off topic, Kristina, but your makeup look especially beautiful today. I have to tell you something. I've been very sick in bed. And so the only thing I could do was sit there and spend time on my makeup. So I'm glad you noticed. Thank you. What makeup? I thought it was just her. No. There's definitely a layer of, I always say that all my makeup came out of a bag. All my beauty has come out of a bag. So yeah. Tinted moisturizer, some good glowy blush. Nas2448 says, I bought a new build in Arizona with a 3.99% energy rate. Fantastic. Was that recently? Was that and was it from a new home build? So the new home builder gave you that interest rate. And is it like for like a 5-year period, or is that for the whole 30-year fixed rate? I want to know what the specs were on this. I want to know what the details are. Casey's HU8VZ says, crazy uncertainty. I agree. I'm overall freeze response and choose not to spend if not needed. Yeah. I mean, I've heard people that are like not spending on Thanksgiving. I've heard people saying, oh, we're canceling Christmas this year. I mean, I wouldn't say that's the majority, but the fact that I'm ever hearing that, which is surprising to me. It's very surprising. Thanksgiving happens to be my most favorite holiday day. Because, I mean, who doesn't love stuff in your face with a bunch of food and then passing out? We used to play games as kids, but we don't really do that anymore. Maybe I should bring that back. All right. Charlton says, must be bad. I'm getting a lot of robocalls from home insurance brokers and home improvement companies. I haven't gotten those robocalls. I get the ones for health insurance. I mean, probably 5 a day. Like, oh, can I send you a quote for for health insurance? But I blame that on NAR. They sold our information. So, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? MHO8 says food banks buy at wholesale prices. Yes, they do. Yeah, not all of them. I mean, I'm just saying that a good portion of them can buy food at wholesale prices, below wholesales in some cases. So in 5006 says, yes, even if it's a dollar, the food bank can turn that into $10. They know what people need and they have bulk networks of purchasing large donations and surplus food. Yes. And it doesn't necessarily need to be food too at food banks. Like there's lots of supplies that people need that they do without because they can't afford it. Like toothpaste and toothbrushes and paper towels and toilet paper and all these other things. They need those kinds of things as well. Island Knight says in Northwest Arkansas, more are sold than listed. Oh, so you guys have a shortage of housing right now? Is there so it's basically a buyer's market in the Northwest area of Arkansas? It's not that way here. Yep. 84294 says, thanks, Kristina, for saying Boise instead of Boise. Boise, Idaho. I don't know. I didn't know if I said it right or not. I'm interested to know because I'm moving up north. If people are going to think I have a Southern accent, I'm originally from Massachusetts, but I've lived in the South for, I don't know, since the early 90s. So I don't know if I actually have a Southern draw to my voice. So I'm interested to know if what my accent sounds like to you guys. Buddy Seeker 77 says, I have a buddy of mine that's a superintendent for DR Horton here in Seattle. And he says he would never buy any of the homes that he sells. The quality is so bad. I out of your mouth, I can't say anything. So I can't say anything. They've had their fair share of lawsuits over the years. That's for sure. But there's lots of people that love their homes. So Carlton says $6 to $7 for 11 to 10 ounce coffee. I'm cutting back, going through the withdrawal. You know what's so funny is that coffee's gone up 103 or 154 or something like that percent in the last 5 years. It's crazy, right? And there's this. I don't know if you guys watched my YouTube short the other day. There's a woman out there who she works for the Barbara Corcoran brokerage. That's the woman from Shark Tank, but she's a real estate expert from her organization. And she gave some really sage advice of telling people, you know what? It's not that the homes are too expensive. All you have to do is cut out the Starbucks coffee and then you could save for a house. How out of touch do you have to be saying that the whole reason why you can't afford a house, her big financial key to freedom is don't drink Starbucks coffee. So I actually because I have this by memory because I just did the short. I did the math on it. It's just over $2,000. So if you were to buy a Starbucks coffee every single day of the week, 365 days out of a year, it would be over $2,000, which is nothing to sneeze at. So if you were to put that off to the side, if home prices do not move not 1 inch, you would be able to get a down payment, including closing costs. Do you know how long it would take you? I just do a guesstimate. How long do you think it would take you? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It would take you over 18 years. It would take you over 18 years. And that's just saying if you actually, not many people buy a Starbucks coffee every single day. Maybe some young kids that are in high school, they probably do that because they're spending their parents' money. It's not their money. They're young, but the average person is not buying a, Starbucks coffee every single day, 365 days out of the year. And maybe she's saying, oh, cut out the frivolous spending. But most people right now are not frivolously spending. They're even talking about how many restaurants and everybody's deciding to cook at home more now than ever because they feel like they could get more bang for their buck at cooking at home. I made borscht for the first time, by the way. I've never made that before. It was delicious. So I think I think they're out of touch. They're not getting exactly what's really going on in society. It isn't about the Starbucks coffee. It's the fact that everything's way too expensive. And like kids have student loan debt now that they never had before. They have so many more expensive than we never had. And somebody says, well, cut out the cable. Who the hell has cable anymore? Young people do not have cable. That's not a thing. My daughter is 22 and she does not have cable at her house. They're not watching regular television. They're watching YouTube. So G says New Orleans has been way overpriced for a while. Yes, but New Orleans is seeing some price reductions as well. Yeah. Reading works exactly. Cookie cutter homes with no nice upgrades, water coming through the cement walls. Yeah. And coming up through like I've seen some crazy stuff. I saw one home inspector. He walked up. I'm telling you, a brand new house. This house was listed at like 695,000. And he walked up and he was literally grabbing the corner of the house and it was like coming apart, like falling apart granularly. And then he looked next door to those people's house and he's like, their house is going to fall over. And he knocked on their door. He's like, look, I'm a home inspector. Can I see do you mind if I walk around your house? And they're like, yeah, sure. And sure enough, their foundation was falling apart. That's shocking. Shocking. Yeah. I see a lot of townships and municipalities hire third-party house inspectors. I take notice. Yes. Did you know that modular home construction companies have a third-party inspectors that come out and look at their houses and grade them? They get like a report card on each and every house, and they have to repair those things before they leave the factory. I think a lot of our problems is that we can't build houses fast enough. And if we invested more time and effort and money into modular home construction, they're fantastic homes, by the way. They're built to the same specifications as a traditional home. They just happen to be built in a factory. We would get a lot of this solved. But I think the powers that be really don't want to solve the problem, if I want to be honest with you. Redding says, how do you feel about converting old shipping containers into new homes? I've been thinking about it. This is a very good question. And years ago, I would have said, oh, isn't that neat? That is so cool. But I went out to North Carolina where a guy had been making shipping containers into houses. And it's not as cost intuitive as you think, right? And then I talked to another guy. He is up in the New England area, and he did the same thing with shipping containers. It's, first of all, where are you getting the shipping container from? You gotta think about that first. What elements were shipped in that shipping container before you got it? So is it healthy? Is it safe for you? Then you have to make it so that you have make it fire safe, right? Because it doesn't have windows, it doesn't have doors. You have to. Sometimes the fire marshal will not even approve those, so you can't even get a owner occupancy for them. It's the guy I talked to. This was probably about 3.5 years ago, almost 4 years ago now. It cost him for one shipping container. We're talking small shipping container. It cost him over $150,000 to bring it up to something that was livable. $150,000. And you can buy a much bigger tiny home than that for $150,000. I don't know. I don't think they. I think it's a cool idea, but I don't think it's necessarily an affordable way to get into a house. Just FYI. Yeah, and in some areas you want to approve them. So. With next week's time change, I hope the clocks roll back far enough that brisket is 99 cents again. Yeah, well, it's not time travel like that. All I know is that my cats and dogs are going to be really upset because they're going to be hungry. And they're going to be like, we eat at this time. Some mold is green. Yeah, some mold is green. Some mold is black. Some mold is yellow. I've seen it pink. I've seen mold every color under the rainbow. I don't know. Like here in Louisiana in 2016, we had some of the worst flooding that we've ever seen in history in our area of Baton Rouge, and areas that have never flooded before flooded. So I've seen all the colors of the rainbow of mold. That's for sure. Gilda says, my husband added a bedroom with his which with its own bathroom to our home. And my mom was able to live with us for 9 years until she passed. It was a blessing and difficult too. Yeah, I understand. Like, I can get it. To have family live in your house it's tough. It's very tough. Like, holidays, can be really strenuous. So I can't imagine. That's why I'm kind of going with my parents have their own space with their own locked door. They can have their own little house, and then I'm going to have my own house. So when we've had enough of each other, we can just walk our ways. We can have little conversations somewhere else, and we can complain about each other in our own houses. Because, if you live in the same house, they're going to be able to hear that. They may say they can't hear, but boy, they can hear. Peter says, I'm all in for multi-generational living. Strong families working together, pulling resources, and sharing responsibilities, actually attainable solution. And we used to do that. Many cultures do it. It's not uncommon, but I don't know why we're always like, we want to separate ourselves. I think there's something to be said about families that can do that they all live together. That shared dynamic of trying to all get along with one another with big personalities, and they make it work. I mean, it's pretty cool. I'm just looking forward to being able to like cook meals for my parents, and my dad really enjoys cooking too. So there's going to be some nights that will really be helpful to me because he'll be able to cook dinner, and we can do vice versa. I can do a lot of the grocery shopping for them because they're going to be right next door. So I can get their grocery list and do their grocery shopping for them. I'll be able to take my mom to doctor's appointments, and help my dad out that way. My dad is like, he's over 85, and my mom's right around the corner, and they're slowing down. This is probably the first time I've ever really seen them like slow down in the last 5 years. So I want to be able to make those last years that they're here with them as comfortable as possible. And I'm just not the kind of person that will put them in an assisted living kind of facility. My dad even thought about it. They can afford to do it, but they would much rather me help them out than do that. So I have no problem doing it. I like my parents. All right. Desiree says, first time watcher, but I was thinking how beautiful your skin you have, Kristina. I use the good old, what is it? Retin-A every day. I think the lighting in here is really good too. Sometimes I look at the replay and I'm like, damn, I look great. I think it's the lighting. Debbie Brady says, have you smacked that like button yet? Who wants to smack it? You want to smack it, flip it, rub it down? Oh no, the girl's gonna do me. What was that from? Belle Biv DeVoe? Was that Belle Biv DeVoe, Eddie?
Yes.
There's something wrong with that. Reading York says corporate greed and less money and benefits for workers. And, like the push is to get younger people to get into the trades, which I don't have a problem with, but they took out trade education in high schools back in the 90s. Like when I was leaving high school, they even took out drafting of all things. And that's a difficult job. They took out drafting. We had auto mechanics. You could go to hair school, all sorts of different things. There were different types of high school degrees you could get. You could get a basic degree. You could get a technical degree, or you could get a college prep degree. There are 3 different types. I have not seen that in years. I have not seen high schools that offer auto shop in years. If they offer that again in high schools, I think we would be in much better shape. But they don't make it really look appealing either, right? And they don't pay them enough, period. They just don't pay them enough. You pay them and they will come. Yep. Charlton said, that's why I joined the Navy. Got free coffee issued to the workstation. Of course, I had to make it every day. Yeah. I'm not a coffee drinker. So I can't complain complain about the price of coffee right now, even though there are people watching that were doing that. I splurged and bought a small gas station coffee that just this morning. Had a moment of guilt, which is insane. Oh no, is that going to stop you from buying a house? That woman on Barbara Corcoran's team says that's it. Just take out that coffee.
Enjoy your gas station coffee.
Enjoy your gas station coffee. Yep. Debbie says I'm drinking instant coffee these days, not because I can't afford it, because it's convenient. My daughter has a instant coffee that she got. It's delicious. It's freeze dried. Who's it by, Eddie? Do you know? Anyways,
It is Juan Valdez.
Oh, it's Juan Valdez. Juan Valdez. It's good though. I didn't think it was bad, and she makes her iced coffees with that. It's delicious. Delicious. You can buy all those syrups too if you're like got a big sweet tooth. You can buy all those syrups at World Market or even on the old Amazon. You can find those. I've seen them at the grocery stores too. The syrups for coffee. If you're an addict to Starbucks and you want to save for a house, you know. Wonders of the World says, "Don't believe anything that comes out of a realtor's mouth." Okay, don't. You don't have to. That's what the great thing about the world is you have a choice to listen to whoever you want. And I've often said on this channel, don't ever just listen to me. I'm just one person in the sea of real estate advice. Listen to many people along the way. And then you can make your own decision, your own financial decisions for what you want as far as buying a house. So you don't have to listen to me. It's fine. I still love you though. Thank you for stopping in and watching the program. D-Check says, hello from New York City. New York City. Hello, D-Jack. Good to see ya. Good to see ya. I always know D-Jack's comment before they ever always says, if I don't see the screen name and it says, I love this gal, I know it's going to be D-Jack. Reading, York says, yep, Boston, Massachusetts, BBD, new edition. What does that mean?
Bell Biv DeVoe.
Yes. Oh, BBD. The East Coast family.
You got to put ABC.
I know. What is wrong with me? It's because I don't feel good. And I'm on a lot of medications to try to make me feel good. And I think I'm loopy. Stealth Slaw says the leaders are anti-education. They don't want college graduates. They want technical trained people that they can lowball. I got my college degree. My boss was actually angry. They just want me to, work until your death. I know I'm going to fill that in for you. And, the thing is that a lot of people that are saying, go get a trade, go get a trade, go get a trade. What are their kids doing? What are their kids doing? Do you think they're going to trade school? No. They're probably going to college. Whenever somebody tells me to do something, I always tend to do the opposite. And when a bunch of billionaires are saying, we need more people in tech, that's when I look at my kids and say, maybe you should do something else. Maybe you should do something else. That's how I look at things. Grind and keep supporting the 14 aerospace companies for peanuts. Yeah. You work for peanuts while they make billions. That's how I feel about insurance CEOs. Like they all complain. They're like, oh, we really, it takes us so long to process, problems with after the Palisades fire because, fraud, they're blaming everybody else. But they sure as hell took that $250 million bonus that year, didn't they? They had no problem taking that, but they couldn't process people's claims. Kristina says something smells fishy. All right. MH08 says, whoever thought that of putting clocks on coffee makers deserves a Nobel Prize? And that and wheels on luggage. Yeah, wheels on luggage is a good one. That's a really good one. But sometimes that luggage gets off kilter. I got to get a better wheels on my luggage. All right. We have the poll questions that are out. Eddie, you can go ahead and put the poll, what people have said on that poll, please. Poll results are in. This is, are new homes better now? Better buys now. That's what I said. Are they better buys now? Yes. If prices dropped, 14% said yes. No existing homes are better for the win. 36% of you said that. new homes are better only if they have more big incentives. 25% of you said that. And only if the interest rate drops more. So that 25% of it said that. So we got a pretty even keel right here with the, most people like existing homes better. They would go with a newer home if they had more incentives for them to buy a new home, or if they had lower interest rates. That makes sense. Violet, hello there, friends. It says, hey there, Kristina, Eddie, and fam. Question: how do I kickstart legislation to regulate lot prices for mobile home parks? So I don't know if do you have a manufactured mobile home commission in your area? That's where I would start. That's exactly where I'd start. Talking to them, and they will get you into the process of creating a bill. And then they'll probably help you sponsor that bill, because the mobile home commission in your area wants you to sell and have more mobile homes happen. In order for that to happen, they would love a more fixed lot rents. So find that in your community and work with them. Work with them. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of private equity getting into mobile home parks. I got an email from a lady, and her mobile home rent in 2019 was $500, and she expected it to go up. Then a private equity firm came in and it went up $700, which she was like, wow, that's really terrible. Right now, her mobile home land rent is $1,200. She can't afford to live there anymore. She's on a fixed income. She's on disability. She's 67 years old. She doesn't know what to do. There's nowhere else for her to move. And it's a huge problem. Yep. Oh, the East Coast family was Boys to Men. Okay.
It included Boys to Men. It was ABC, BBD, Boys to Men.
Okay.
Which all started from New Edition. There you go. Go even further. It started from New Edition. There you go. Michael Bivins from Bill Biv DeVoe.
Mm-hmm. All right, everybody. I hate to tell you this, but Christine feels like garbage. I'm going to put myself back into bed. I'm glad you guys told me I look good, because you know what they say. It's better to look marvelous than to feel marvelous. But I feel like hot garbage. I'm going to go back to bed. And I love you guys very, very much. If you have any questions about your real estate needs, you can always go to my website, KristinaSmallhorn.com. Click on any of the pink links and get a hold of me that way. And I will give you an email at my earliest convenience back, most likely on Mondays. All right. And if you wanted to listen to this as a podcast tomorrow and share it with your friends, you can go to anywhere you listen to your podcast. Look for Kristina Smallhorn, Real Estate for Everyone. And you can find today's live stream as a podcast tomorrow morning. Eddie always puts that out every week. He also wants me to tell you that if you happen to find it and you're looking for that podcast, make sure you give us a 5-star review and write something about us. See, Eddie, I did a good job. I told him to do that. All right, everybody. Yay! I love you. I mean it. And I will see you next week. So long. Farewell.
Thank you to our moderators.
Oh, yes. Thank you, moderators. Thank you so much for keeping the chat clean. And thank you to our super chatters today as well. All right. Love you. Mean it. Bye.